It's our last meeting. We made it a whole year, a whole school year. You know, that's another meeting. This one's this meeting. It'll be easier next year. Well, we'll meet less. It won't be easier. The work will be a little different, but we'll meet less next year. So similar to last time, we're going to dive into some guiding principles this time around the wonderful pillar of programs that we all love so much. I believe we are going to get some Hanover research back this month. I think they've been going around and doing some research about other districts and programming that they have, so we could just have some stuff to compare it to. We also, Magnet Schools of America finally got back to us and talked to us, so I'm going to bring them in the fall so you guys can understand what that is at a national level, because if we so decide, as some of you have kind of suggested, like what is a model or what is a metrics that we can use to determine what a magnet program is, there are national models for that. So 3 of our programs are getting some training in the process already. I believe Kittredge, Wadsworth, Columbia, and Chamblee, I think, got introduced to the process already just for them, or maybe Harris. Narvi J. Harris, I think maybe, just to start acclimating people. And that was from the curriculum and instruction lens, just so they could see what that process is. It's rigorous. So they were all like, ooh, okay. So they're just getting like professional learning and support and going to conferences to kind of learn what a national magnet school model is like. So I'm going to bring them in to talk to us in the fall. The other update I have, which is not on here because I keep forgetting to update these, but the other update I have is that DeKalb is a nonprofit / government entity that talks about development in the county, and one of their representatives will start coming to our meetings. So they're going to come for the summer just to kind of tell us broadly, like, here are some development things that we are talking about in DeKalb County, just so we don't inadvertently maybe do some consolidation or restructuring in a space that they're like about to pump millions and millions of dollars into, right? And so we want to just kind of have a holistic view as we do this. And then starting in the fall, somebody will join the committee and I'll be able to have them come around to tables as you guys are kind of reimagining, and then say, yeah, so in this Miller Grove area, here's some things that people are thinking about and already invested in. So just, you know, put that on the table. So we just, again, kind of look at it holistically. So those are fun updates. Our summer committee is going to kick off after I get off vacation, because, you know, I'm tired. So I'm going to be gone for a week. I'm going to leave y'all for a week, and then we're going to kick off the summer institute. And so in the summer institute, we have planning, kind of starting to create some maps just based off of some ideas that you guys already had. What's a map that looks like? What does a map look like for middle, elementary, and high that is closest proximity? Just draw the lines, 1 mile radius, 2 mile radius, things like that. What does a map possibly look like if there were no programs? What does a map possibly look like, right? And so they're starting to just draw out some of those. And so with the Summer Institute folks, so these are going to be internal people and a few of our people from our committee in there, just kind of, I'm going to play around with them a little bit on how I'm going to do stuff with y'all. So I'm gonna test them first with the internal people, and they'll basically take a map, and then they will rate it against our guiding principles, rate it against the current policy, and then any kind of quantitative or qualitative data, because that's exactly what I'm thinking you guys are gonna do. What that will do is take, like, here's this idea, but how does it match all this stuff we've been talking about all year? Does it meet a current policy or not? And the policy is pretty broad, so I can't think of a map where it doesn't might meet something in our policy. And then what did the community say? So the survey data, Kayla's finishing that up and doing some visuals with some raw stuff. So you'll have the community data. All of the school visits Dr. Covington and I have gone to, we're compiling that information. So there's your quantitative stuff, right? So you got something from the teacher or from the principal and AP level, as well as community, to kind of pull against that. So it'll take us some time to sift through that kind of stuff, which is why people won't be seeing any of our kind of maps until well after Thanksgiving, closer to Christmas time, because it's going to take us a little while to get through a few of those. But that's like my brainchild, so let me test it out this summer. I might have to tweak it a little bit, and then we'll bring it back to you guys. So yes, last group of guiding principles around programs, same thing you did, look back in, it may be February or March that we talked about programs. You're gonna look back at those worksheets, pull out some themes, create those themes into guiding principles that are action-oriented, connected to the SAP vision, and adaptable. And then tomorrow we'll do the last guiding principle survey with all the teams and all the committees, and then we'll wrap those up. So Kayla has been putting the top 5 in on the SAP committee, on the SAP website. Under resources, there's a guiding principle tab. So buildings and boundaries are already up there, and then we'll add programs after everybody does the voting, and that's going to be our set that we're going to measure stuff against starting in the fall. Questions? All right, mix it up a little bit. Y'all know what to do. Yes.
There's going to be some kind of vote like around November, or that we have to be wrapped up? Like, what's our whole time?
So yes, our wonderful superintendent was like, yeah, we need stuff to happen a little bit earlier in SAP. So what he means, because I had to go get some clarity too. So what he is meaning is that if there is low-hanging fruit stuff, he doesn't want to wait another whole 18 months or like 12 months to do that. So if there's something that we're like, yo, this could happen next year, and there's like 12 kids over here, or this program doesn't make sense anymore and they can fold into the school, the small stuff, he wants us to think about kind of bringing that up earlier than March. So that kind of stuff. Full programs, boundary change, all that stuff is still waiting until the full process. Correct. The other thing he said out loud, me and him, you know, we battle sometimes, love him dearly. Other thing he said out loud was, we could do this with about 100 schools and we have 138.
Oh.
Okay, right. So that's out in the public. Definitely got some phone calls from some SAP members like, you didn't tell us, baby. I didn't know. So in his head, he is taking the average of how many kids could fit in a school, which if you roughly about 1,000 divided by 100,000, that's 100 schools, right? That's kind of where his head went. So what that will look like for us is a lot of reimagining on that elementary school level, because you only got 18 and 19 high schools and middle schools, right? Like there's not a ton that we're going to be able to do there without like completely aggravating an entire area. We have a lot of like almost 70 something elementary schools. We have a lot of elementary. And then we have a lot of buildings that have programs that are also not full. So these specialized programs at elementary spaces where we're going to be able to be probably a little more creative than our middle and high schools, because we just don't have a ton of those in general. So it shall be fun, but that'll come up in the fall. I'll say, so here's the goal, y'all. Y'all got a sneak peek because he said it after the other meeting that came up. So just know that that's out in the ether. It may be closer to like 110 by the time we're done, right? Because there's some programs that just need to be in separate buildings, right? Like there are some that have extremely high needs that have equipment, like they're, specialized filtration systems. Like we've been to a few schools and I was like, okay, Eagle Woods, understood, right? Like I walked in there like, this school's huge, there's not a lot of kids. And I was like, oh, because half of the classroom is literally like a nursing station. Yeah. Got it, right? And so there's some of those that make sense. And then there's stuff like, real talk, Elizabeth Andrews, we got to talk about, because you're talking about essentially credit recovery and additional support for students so they don't lag behind, which is phenomenal, but it's also in a building that can hold 1,000 students and there's 200. We got to talk about it, right? And there's been places like that have been really sheltered and covenant, which is great, but financially, we may not be able to afford to do it how we've been doing it. Can we keep the program and the integrity? Absolutely. Can we keep it in that space? I don't know, right? And so those are the kind of things that we'll be like starting to lift up. And the International Student Center, dope. It's a big building. It's not a lot of kids in there, right? So again, like when I say I've been to every school, I've been to every school and every building at this point. So I have some really good information directly from those principals that I think is just gonna help us think through a little bit of this too. So it shall be fun. We got some hard work in the fall, y'all. We're gonna try to do a little bit of it first because I don't want you guys starting from scratch. And our operations team has been doing that, right? Like they have been redistricting and doing things like that for a long time. So I'm gonna try to start with them to help us just start at some kind of ground level. And then we get to kind of put our little reimagining juice on something that typically is just hardline redistricting. So we're gonna give them a little space, and then there will be time for you guys to push back and say, what about this kind of map, right? If we did X, Y, and Z, and that's where I'll go back to them, get something else and bring it back to you guys. So there'll be a lot of kind of back and forth for the fall. Yes. All right, we'll get Kayla to help us make sure we all are in our right documents, and then let's get some guiding principles going. All right, let's hear what we got. So per usual, we will share out, and then we'll talk a little bit about, again, tomorrow night, we'll do the guiding principles. If you've done them already, we only do the meeting for people that have questions or whatever. Otherwise, you could just go on and vote, and Caleb will send that out tomorrow. Sorry, I don't know what kind of awards thing is happening over there, but they are lit. It's really cute. They got it decorated out. It's real cute. And then we'll talk about, maybe we'll see some of y'all this summer, and if not, we'll see you in the fall. So, all right, who's sharing out first? What we got? Guiding principles around wonderful programs. Yeah. All right, yeah, y'all was early achievers because y'all started last week, last month on your guiding principles.
All right, hey everybody.
Hey.
Okay, so we came up with 3 guiding principles. The first one, we want to realign curriculum from elementary through high school to retain students in DeKalb County. Mm-hmm. What we're addressing is reimagining theme schools to be more in the high school, on the high school level, to be more based to fit better interests and career opportunities. The SAP Vision Connection is programs, and then the Miracle and Consideration Connection is the relevant and rigorous course of study.
So y'all want like an Arabia from kindergarten through 12?
Yes, please.
That's what it
Something
sounded
along
like
those
that.
lines.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Second guiding principle, DeKalb County needs to implement programs that are, I skipped one. Every student in DeKalb should have access to specialized program within the community schools. What we're addressing is equity and opportunity on a community level or community-based level. SAP Vision Connection is considering programs and boundaries. And our Miracles and Consideration Connection is motion towards equity. And our third one is DeKalb County needs to implement programs that address non-academic factors that directly impact academic success. So what we're addressing is
What does that mean?
expanding.
Tell me more about that.
Okay. We're going to expand mental health and family support services using shared resources throughout the community and the cluster. The SAP Vision Connection is programs, and our Miracles and Consideration Connection is motion towards equity and learning environments that support student success. And that last one, we're kind of looking at like, we have parents, we have people in the community that are psychologists, social workers, and sometimes the school necessarily don't have the resources to go around. So why not pull in these people as volunteers and say, hey, we have these students here. Maybe we can do a mental health night, do a mental health workshop. And then if there's not at your own school, let's say you reach out to the middle school or the high school in your area that you kind of cluster with and see what resources they have. And you all can share resources that can, help along the community.
For sure.
So,
Having the schools also reach out to work in concert with each other.
Right.
To say, okay, this is like the
a general list or share that list and share the resources throughout the schools in the
Yeah,
cluster.
that's dope. And I do know the clusters are starting to meet again. So when Horton came, like the cluster model got a little jumbled because he was kind of pulling people to work across the district, so people weren't so segmented. And inadvertent impact on that is now those schools aren't meeting as clusters anymore. But they are now intentionally, it started in April, they're starting to meet as clusters again, because when we were going around talking to them, we were like, how do we sell the cluster? Like what's the theme of the cluster? Have you been, what's going to happen K through 12? So I know those conversations are starting again.
I didn't even notice that. Now that you say that.
You know, everything has a domino effect. We don't always look at the whole process. All right, good job.
So I have a 504 plan. I was with 2 kids.
They gave you accommodations?
Yeah,
Yes,
but
modifications and
they didn't make me read.
accommodations.
No. Seriously, DCSD will prioritize school programs that equitably support the academic, social-emotional, and developmental growth of all students, ensuring that resources are allocated to initiatives that demonstrate strong alignment with student needs, community values, evidence-based practices, and measurable outcomes that enhance student success and well-being.
That's like 8 sentences.
It's one sentence.
Wait, where the ELA people at? Run on is what I heard, okay.
Yeah, Future say use commas. Yeah. What are we addressing? Equitable access to programs.
Give me the elevator pitch on what all that meant.
So
what does it really mean?
So we had a real rich discussion about school choice.
Okay.
And how if essentially school choice could pull kids all to one school, and then the soup wouldn't have worry about closing the school down if we all leave. So we thought about, well, why can't we have programs at every school? That way we won't have to bus them around, which goes back to our transportation issue from last month. So we're just talking about equitable access
within neighborhood schools.
Yes.
Okay.
Without having to drive across campus.
We
also talked about marketing.
Yes.
To get that information out.
How do we market
so
it?
You know that the school
has those programs.
That's right.
And you're thinking that it's not
That's
just
right.
One school, but you may have it in your
neighborhood school.
school.
And that's why I pushed on schools when we talked to them about, because we could market a cluster. People talk in clusters here, right?
Yes,
I can
yes.
market what's happening in the Stevenson cluster, right? Versus like, here's these 5 elementaries, this one middle, this one high. Give me a cluster model, right? And then we can market that pretty easily. So if we can get to marketing across and making sure that the program we can talk about a K-12, then we could just market it as a cluster. And that's just 18 of those we have to do versus 100 and whatever.
Transient.
Yes, the transient.
How do they get the information?
Yeah.
We're talking about, possibly having where all the schools come and maybe tell about their program.
Yes.
Like a job fair, similar to like a
We
job
have
fair.
that.
Yes.
We started it last year.
They started last year. It was the first year.
We're going to have it again. It is. It's for every school.
Come and tell what programs that they have.
Yeah, it's called the School Expo. So Horton pushed us to do that for the first time last year. So this year, it's coming back. School Expo.
And we talked about, we also
talked
talked about like how we maybe lose kids to private schools because the parents, so they won't get any communication.
That
but
is
we
true.
can get them back if they knew that this school
Something's
had this.
happening.
Yeah, so we can bring our, and it's free for them. So
Right.
Our SAP Vision Connection was reimagining programs, and our miracles and consideration was motion towards equity.
Beautiful.
All right, this one's a little bit shorter.
Yeah, get your elevator pitch. Pitch ready.
DCSD will utilize a comprehensive, equity-focused rubric to evaluate the effectiveness of all programs and to assess alignment with district goals, impact on student outcomes, it's getting long, evidence of continuous improvement, cost-effective, and stakeholder feedback. And so basically we can have programs, but are they effective? And we wanted to make sure we use the word equity because one program may have a rubric that's different from another program, kind of like ELA versus math. You can't assess instructional resources the same way. Of course, we're addressing the effectiveness of the programs now. And the SAP Vision is reimagining programs, and the miracles in consideration establish expected targets driven by results.
Yep. How many of you know we did an access and opportunity audit in this district? One of the foundings was that there needs to be a some type of rubric that we measure these things against. So that'll probably come out of the equity or access and opportunity audit anyhow. The other outcome was we need a universal understanding of what access and opportunity means.
Yes.
Because that sounds and look different for different folks in different spaces. So yeah, so there's some information coming out of that, and Dr. Horton pushed every chief to create a goal in their Miracles framework next year, and priorities that they had to pull stuff out of that audit for their actual division. So it isn't one of those like, yeah, we did it, cute. What are we gonna do about it, right? And so now every division has to pull some at least 3 action items from that audit that are now priorities for them to fix next year. About that business. Ain't just talk, y'all. He be working us, I'm telling you. Yep.
So we have 2, and we had some wonderful colleagues that were working while they were on break. So, so the first one is that programs must help prepare students for post-secondary education, the workforce, and adult life. So this includes developing soft skills, leadership, financial literacy, and civic responsibility.
Nice.
What are we addressing is the idea that education should go beyond test scores, preparing students not just academically, but also practically and emotionally for life after high school. So we're talking about post-secondary preparation, career exploration and workforce skills, and then also life skills development. And then that is aligned to SAP vision for programs, and then the Miracles learning environments that support student success. The second one, to ensure the success and clarity of our theme and magnet schools, we must delineate clear requirements, expectations, and a strong program identity, along with the seamless matriculation path from pre-K through 12th grade. And what are we addressing there? It's like the lack of clarity and direction. So we feel like there are unclear requirements, undefined expectations, and weak program identity in especially our theme schools. And so that's what we're trying to address, and then also address the disjointed student progression in terms of matriculation for the magnet schools. Making sure that we have from, a viable option from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. And then that connects to programs. And then our Miracles is motion towards equity, improved instructional core, relevant and rigorous course of study, attract and retain high quality staff, and then learning environments that support student success.
Wonderful. Thank you, thank you. Yes. Just wrapped it all up in one.
It's funny because I do get the question when I say my daughter goes to a theme school. It's like, well, what's the theme?
What's the thing?
The $1 million question.
Great question. Okay, so our first guiding principle states that all programs functioning below 70% capacity must be evaluated for effectiveness, relevance, and community demand to ensure that they're meeting district goals, optimizing resources, and providing meaningful educational opportunities for all students. And what we are addressing, we're addressing under enrollment. So we have programs that are, they don't have 70%, they're not functioning at 70% capacity. The other thing is we're looking at program sustainability. So some of these programs are not being sustained in some of these schools. We're looking at effective use of resources. Is it effective use of resource to have these teachers in this school teaching these students? Or could these students be placed in a different location? And we're also aligning with the district goals. The vision connections, of course, programs, and we're looking at maximizing sound physical stewardship. So just a good use of our resources. Yeah. Our second guiding principle is to maintain magnet status. A program must uphold a standard of academic excellence and student achievement. The average MAP score of students in the program must be at or above the 85th percentile. The district will provide data annually to monitor performance, and schools that do not meet the benchmark will be placed on a 1-year probationary period probationary status with targeted support to ensure improvement. And so that just means that we don't have magnet programs that are not providing the magnet type of educational experience for our students. And if they're not, we provide the support, and then we might need to dissolve those programs if we're not providing those students with what they truly need to be successful.
This is the first district I've ever been to where you can get into a high achieving program that was not within the 10 percentile of testing. I've never heard of that until I came here. Top 25%, countrywide, that's not a thing. So it could be for equity reasons, right? That we were like, you know what, here's our bar, let's put it here so we can get more kids involved, and that's fine, but then that's not technically high achieving, right? And so we gotta think about like how we're marketing and what we're calling things, and if we're holding them at the proper standards.
Right. So of course, you kind of figured out what we are addressing here. We just want to maintain high academic standards within those schools. And it is relevant and rigorous course of study. So that is the miracles connection. Right, that's it.
Very good. You done gave the system, the process, the qualifications. Very nice, very nice. And so we'll be, I'll spend a lot of the time in the summer kind of pulling out a lot of these large themes, because as we start looking at maps, like some of these themes are going to be really, really important. So if we're really talking about differentiating program and qualifications, the assumption is that we're not going to have all these type of programs, right? Because it is clear that some meet standards and some do not, right? So if that is one of the possible recommendations, then what type of map does that look like? That means some programs are coming off as schools, right? Which means you have less buildings. And so that's how you start tying these things to like, and then what does that map look like? And then what are the metrics or recommendations that we have to determine, right? Because then we're gonna have to know what type of buildings we taking offline in order to create a map. So that's where it starts to get a little convoluted and really political, right? And that's when people gonna know that you on that committee and be like, hey, when you go into that meeting on next week, tell them don't touch Coralwood, right? That's when those kind of conversations, like specificity is gonna start happening then. Like, oh, I know, I've been watching now. People gonna start clicking on the views. So instead of getting 30 views on these, we're gonna be getting 300, right? Because they're like, oh, you talking about my school this week? I gotta listen in. So just know that like Dr. Horton is really, really protective of this process, and he will stand in front of all the things and anybody, and he has been really like pushing people to be involved. So again, it's not just some magical surprise. So we'll be meeting also this summer about like how other staff will start to get involved in sending this message out. I'll probably be doing a lot of recordings of stuff like, hey, here's some maps we talked about. Here's some of the data we looked at. Here are our guiding principles that we measured this against. Please give us your feedback. Check out this map. Here's a QR code for that map. Check out this map. Here's a QR code. Here's some possible scenarios that we're thinking about with programs. List them out. Like maybe there's a metrics to follow. Perhaps we sunset by 2030. Perhaps, like any of that stuff that comes out, we'll give them the information and create a QR code for people to give us feedback. And then I'll put it through a wonderful tool that'll summarize it all for us, and then we'll look at it. Because it's gonna be thousands and thousands of feedback, I am sure. So that's kind of how it works. It'll be a little bit of a, just be flexible in the fall, because depending on how things go, I might have to pivot. But you guys have been flexible all year, so pivoting is a thing, it's fine. We still got here. I appreciate you guys so much. You did a great job. If I don't see you all summer, congratulations on having a summer break, unlike me. And we'll be back at it in the fall. So September is going to be when we kick it back off, and there will be a virtual meeting and an in-person meeting. So I'm asking for 2 Wednesdays, but one will be virtual, one will be in person. And that schedule will be out shortly. We just got our last school identified. We'll be at different spaces because, we got to switch around the district a little bit. And so that schedule will be out and posted online pretty soon too. So happy. We got tomorrow, don't forget to do the guiding principles vote. So we'll send that out. You don't have to join the Zoom link if you don't want to, but just make sure you actually go in and do the vote. So you'll get that from Kayla. That is it. And then tomorrow night, that's it. This is our exit ticket for our last meeting. You made it.